I should have really done these back in many years ago instead of doing videos that eventually got censored into oblivion. Now, what I shall do is take you through some of the reasons why I'm pro crypto. Now, some of crypto may have a different take, which is fine. So this is my flavor, my take on it. If we have a look here, many years ago now, it still has been released, made public, the Australian government, the Board of Taxation, asked for public comment from practitioners, individuals, companies alike. I thought I would try and, do the pro crypto thing, which I'm sure many people did. And I had a look and there wasn't even triple figures that did a submission. So when cryptocurrency does get affected in any way, shape or form, who is to blame? We must look in the mirror and say, what did I do? What could I have done? Because you can't change time. If you look back and say you wish you did it, it's probably too late. Now, things like the amicus briefing come to mind. However, that is slightly different. This is back in 2000 and I'm not even sure when it took place. Possibly 2020, way back then, possibly 2019. Basically, I'll read you some of my thoughts, and then I'll go through some things that have taken place. Mainly Argentina, and I wasn't sure if this was real or not. I did see it through X, and then Vaxcars confirmed by a tweet here. It was picked up by Forbes. This is a follow-up things taking place in Australia. A thing called the Digital ID Bill. I don't know if you guys remember safe and effective and won't be mandated come to mind, and this particular tweet is sort of, not to get pro one party or the other, but when I see something that is clearly I resonate with in a positive way and agree with some aspects of it, it makes sense to sort of support that cause, as long as there's no other underlying ulterior motives which could be go against something I stand for, which is basically freedom of speech worldwide. Now, this here falls back on the Argentina makes registration of cryptocurrency exchanges mandatory. I wanted to have a look further what it exactly means, because there was something in the UK and some people said that one was a little bit overblown in the reaction. It's more to do with actual companies. However, this one, as the tweet confirms, well, as this tweet explains, that the president, I think he's a president, yeah, El Salvador president, made his first major mistake. A Bitcoin proponent and advisor to El Salvador's president. I did not know that. He puts out, he never took the time to understand hashtag Bitcoin. He will suffer now the consequences. Kaiser continued, criticizing the decision of Argentina's president, who came to power after winning the economy stressful country's election in 2023 in November. And then it goes back to this article here, and basically saying companies and individuals doing that will now be asked to comply with the registration approved on March 14. Again, what does that look like? I don't like the idea of that. I was thinking maybe Argentina might be a good place to potentially move to in the future should you see unimaginable wealth. But now I'm thinking, oh, it feels like I've been concerned for a long time that cryptocurrency could well be a Trojan horse to roll out a central bank digital currency with an attached control mechanism to it. Now, how would you do that? Well, you might have something like a digital ID bill, which eventually would be connected to a central bank digital currency. And one way to do this would be to eliminate cash and to eliminate cryptocurrency. That's why I think personally I stumbled across cryptocurrency as, for some reason, I was just meant to, all right? Now, the next thing here, without going too far into the Argentine situation, we have the 2-week safeguards in place for the government's digital ID bill. Again, once I find out more about this, I'll try and broadcast it out to the world best I can. Hopefully someone hears something and hopefully they share it, or hopefully they research it further. And that is how we truly make it, a chain reaction. No. Now this one here, these are about probably a day old now, so it's probably skipped the cycle, but it's still kind of relevant. X issues a legal challenge to Australian governments over censorship. So you think that, you're sort of free and open and you have freedom of political speech, but yet the Australian government has decided to threaten to try and make them pay a fine of something like $800,000. X was ordered by the Australian E-Safety Commissioner. So just imagine one day they don't like cryptocurrency for whatever reason, and you are charged $800,000 in your local currency, or just take down the post. What are most people going to do? Especially if you have 10, 20, 100, 1,000 posts. Like, what is the motive here? It's almost like you will submit. You got to bow down and kiss the ring. Otherwise, you'll be censored into oblivion, which has already happened, right? It's frustrating. Now, the post criticized an individuals appointed by the World Health Organization to serve as an expert on the transgender issues. Like, someone's thought is now a thought crime, like actually being fined, and now it's being tested in court. This is crazy. This is not free and open. This is part of the reason why I'm getting so frustrated with Australia. The shit I'm seeing, like, you have to actually go out and look for it, yeah. But when you actually see and you remember what took place, so there's people being like dragged away because of disagreements over a particular item which they had to wear at a particular point in time, and now it turns out, oh, maybe some of it, all of it was unlawful. Maybe, you know, some of it in court's been proven to be unlawful, but we continue on, and no one forgets, and no one, there is no apologies. We just continues to roll forward with this nonsense. Now, again, not to be too political, however, there's a petition for immediate action against the Digital ID Act. So maybe you want to learn a little bit about this, and decide to try and push back legally and lawfully, peacefully and politically where you can before your rights get taken away. Because once they get taken away, it's extremely hard for you to get them back. You think this is a fucking joke, people? It is not. I'm frustrations at myself here, you know. Like, I know we should just build a better path, which is good and cool when people do that, right? But then if it sort of, those pathways get cut off at the pass, then what? Then what? Attack on all fronts, people. Attack on all fronts. Now, we see here choosing the CBDC path between mBridge and SWIFT, which holds more promise for developing countries. Yay! So we've got more developments with the central bank digital currency, right? That's a brief article which you could read to learn more about how central bank digital currencies are not just a conspiracy theory, and especially in countries like China, which I'll show you in a minute, and how they are actually being used against all the citizens, like the peaceful, law-abiding citizens. It's crazy, right? It's absolutely crazy. It's almost like they're treating the people like criminals for no reason whatsoever. It's absolutely insane. Now, the next thing we see here is demand transparency on taxation of crypto assets from the government. Now, this particular, as I mentioned before, the Australian government, the Board of Taxation, which I wrote not a recommendation, but I shared some information with them, trying to push back and get my message through. This is still, as you'll see here, maybe you want to sign this, maybe. You see why this petition matters. Individual started by Damien Lloyd. Maybe give him a follow on LinkedIn if you use LinkedIn, I don't know. Here's a bit of a backstory here. As a former ATO crypto specialist, current crypto tax lawyer, and active crypto community member, I've witnessed firsthand how our current tax laws are severely prejudiced against us here in Australia jurisdiction. Now, tax practitioners have repeatedly warned both the government and ATO, Australian Tax Office, about the issue, yet it seems their concerns fall on deaf ears. Individuals are facing criminal charges for moving crypto into superannuation funds, get hit with massive tax bills because of artificial taxing points in the law and the sheer absence of any specific ATO education on crypto tax, and struggle with heavy compliance obligations due to these draconian laws and entrenched ATO views. Now, some of the stuff I'm not sure what he's talking about, mainly in regards to the superannuation aspect. Again, not a crypto lawyer here, but just I like the way he flows. So have a read of this further. The Board of Taxation has conducted an investigation into this matter and produced a final report, which I'm waiting to find the results of. That's why I wrote towards the board, and I'll explain to everyone who listens to this what I wrote. The crypto community actively volunteered its concerns and shared insights on how the current tax laws are crippling honest Australians who are investing in this emerging technology. Now, I think that's pretty straightforward. However, this report remains hidden from public view, which I did not know this. This is why it's good to sort of get your tentacles out, have a feel around and see what is going on, in the cryptocurrency space abroad as much as fucking possible. it remains hidden from public. It remains hidden. This lack of transparency is unacceptable in a democratic society that values open dialogue and accountability. The board hides behind red tape and refuses to make available any of the submissions ahead of releasing a final report, even though it has demonstrated history of sharing submissions ahead of time. So for some reason with cryptocurrency specifically, they don't appear to be doing this. So do I even know if my voice was actually heard in relation to this board of taxation and my submission, which may be, pretty decent to listen to, or was it just thrown away as irrelevant, right? So we believe that releasing this report will shed light on the struggles faced by crypto holders and provide valuable insights for reforming our tax laws. Furthermore, making all non-confidential submissions publicly available will allow for more informed discussions among stakeholders. Now, you have the option to remain anonymous. For a lot of this stuff, I choose not to. Basically because there's no point at this point in time. Now, I was going to turn my Telegram notifications off because it's just destroying my ears. In 2020 alone, there was an estimated 1 trillion worth of transactions in Bitcoin globally. Other sources indicate that between 1 and 5 million Australians now hold some form of crypto asset. Now, this took place also before the Bitcoin ETFs and before potentially other crypto ETFs coming along in the pipeline, such as Ethereum ETF, etc., etc. The community is not insignificant. We deserve fair treatment. Also, since then, we saw the Argentinian Prime Minister legalize Bitcoin as a tender. We've also seen instances whereby they have to, it's forced upon them. I'm not so sure that's the right approach. And now we see, not only is it forced upon, so you have to sort of be a business and you have to have your shit set up so you can accept like cash, like Bitcoin. And it's but now also gonna make everyone where does it go to from there? Track and trace everyone through the Bitcoin ledger. It's hang on a minute. I thought we all got tracked and traced through our bank accounts and our centralized exchanges, and when we do trades online and when we exit the system, but now also just every single thing. That actually sounds the same, one and the same, but it's not. It's actually very different. Because, for instance, say you hold X amount of Bitcoin and an exchange knows this. Maybe they look at it, maybe they don't. Maybe the banks look at it, maybe they don't. But then once it's on some government register, everyone now in the government knows, and everyone attached to that knows. It doesn't seem logical to me to do that. That's like issuing your bank balance publicly to everyone. Now, I'm not sure if anyone can run a credit rating on a strange individual, or they need certain abilities to do so, but it would be an equivalent of that, kind of, and I don't think that is right. It's should we hire this person? Or let's have a look at their Bitcoin balance. It's creepy. Now, we believe releasing this report would shed light on the struggles faced by crypto holders and the value, blah, blah, blah. We've done that. In 2020 alone, there was an estimated 1 trillion worth of transactions. We've done that. Crypto community is not significant. We've done that. We call upon the government to release the board's final report in crypto assets taxation and make all non-confidential submissions publicly available. Because there was at point a website which was available when you were able to submit and have your all your documents online in terms of the report that you submitted. But apparently that's no longer the case, which is very confusing, because I would like to hear other people's stories and how it is they've discovered cryptocurrency, how it is and what it is they are doing with cryptocurrency, and why it is or could be stifling innovation, especially in Australia, Failing this, we look to hold the relevant Treasury ministers responsible for the ongoing prejudice against the crypto community ahead of the upcoming election and vote accordingly. So again, it's pretty straightforward. If you don't like, what the taxation of crypto assets from the government and how they're doing their shit, if they're not going to be open and transparent, then maybe it's time for them to go. And we'll keep doing this until everyone who is responsible for bad policy is gone. And this will continue to happen. This is the whole point, in my opinion, to get people with good ideas in. And if people are rolling out bullshit, then they can go. As we saw, as the case should be. The politicians work for us, but we need to be informed. We need to understand, because if you're too stupid to follow what the politicians are doing, who's the stupid one? The politician or you or me? Think about it, Now, the next thing. So why am I so stressed about all of this? Because I can see where we are headed, where the trends, where the arrows are pointing, where the street signs are all directing us, where the gates are hurting us all as a species. We were not born to consume. We were not born with a barcode on our head and a chip in our arm, and to have our medical records openly traded on some sort of ledger that the government decides how to keep track of it all as you change doctors. We were born for freedom. What were we born to do, you know? We have free will. We can do whatever the fuck we want. Maybe someone out there is going to discover something so amazing that changes the trajectory of this species. Maybe someone discovers time travel. Maybe someone builds some technology that helps us get off the planet. Maybe someone discovers life extension. Who knows what the amazing things that we could discover and do. Now, I'm not saying, like, I'm not like some anti-government, oh, everything's shit. No, I'm saying appreciate the good things, right? But when we see bad things, point them out and fix it. Make it better. That's the only thing I can think of doing. And if you're not going to do that, and you're going to wait until Armageddon comes, and then you're going to whinge and bitch and complain, it's like, well, maybe you should have done some shit before this took place, right? Before the gate closed on you. Maybe you should have said, hang on, wait, can we not close the gate? Because I don't think we understand how close we are to that gate closing on us. We are extremely close. Now, so for instance, I've discovered this particular account on X, and it's amazing because you're allowed to, you know, post whatever you want and share information freely and openly, like a new sort of communication system should be. Except of course, unless you offend some regulatory bodies in certain countries and they try and sue you and issue huge fines because of your thoughts or tweets. Like, how insane is that? Is it targeted? Is it politically motivated? What is the reasoning behind it? I would really like to know. Imagine, God forbid, imagine that took place during a pandemic, and what could have happened if you sort of said, I don't like the idea of lockdowns, or I don't like the idea of not being able to choose, you know, because I got told it was a choice. It's like, hang on, but then I lost my job. How is this a choice? Or you made a choice to lose your job. It's like, hang on, that shouldn't have been the question. Now, back to the account. China, no digital ID, no food. Huh. Now, wasn't I just talking about digital ID? Facial recognition as digital ID required for getting SIM card, bank account, digital wallet, traveling by public transportation. Once you're blacklisted by social credit system, you'll be flagged as enemy of the state. No food for you. Wait, what? This. Flagged. You made a bad social media post. You made a bad video on YouTube. Your geometrics did not comply. Do not cover your chin. Oh, they're telling you not to wear a mask now, huh? Look at this. You can't tell me that's not fucking terrifying. You have to listen to the technology to tell you whether or not you can or can't eat that night. Even if you're starving to death. You need water. There's no water. That is so fucking freaky. Dude, Finbear, check it out. Are you looking forward to your the Finnish digital ID system? Because that is wrecked. Really? God damn, hang on. No, hang on, mic check. What the fuck? Desktop audio. Oh, I'll just talk to myself then. Desktop audio.
An outrage that is now all of China apparently is I once again cannot buy food. A couple days ago, my uncle and my cousin helped me latest get a cell phone that is linked to a Chinese bank card so that I could buy anything.
Look at this shit.
But now, apparently, it has been flagged for some reason, and I have to pass facial recognition identity verification.
Just the facial recognition
Which is
identity.
insane, because all I want to do is just spend my gift card balance on this debit
It's not
card.
like the Empire with the droids like scan you. If you're blacklisted, you know. Termination? Like, you can't tell me this is not a gate put around us and closed on us, because if this person cannot buy food, what is it that they are going to do? And they can't grow their own food, and they can't own property.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
And what
I
are
have to
they
open
all
my
forced to
mouth.
steal? Like, what, go out and live in the woods? That's crazy.
Oh my god. Terrifying.
So come to the big city, get your face scanned, and your retina's cloned.
And of course, because it was my cousin who set this up for me, I did not pass verification. I guess it's a good thing that the Chinese app is not racist. But now, I once again can't buy anything.
Can't buy anything. Imagine that. And my frustrations is I like to think, well, there could be a big conspiracy, and I'm just imagining it, that something like crypto could help this individual, and something like cash could help this individual. But for some reason, apparently, maybe the stores don't accept any cash, and maybe the stores don't accept any crypto, or maybe that she can't turn her crypto into cash, vice versa. Now, going back, if pointed out some issues regarding tax, some reports from the government. For some reason, they're not releasing it. So either we sign this petition, maybe try to get this some traction behind that to get the submissions released, and so everyone can have their information shared openly, or we can just be subject to shadowy governments to do whatever they want in disregard of the people who like actively vote them in. So I guess the solution to that is potentially voting them out. Now, back tracing, we're seeing CBDCs developing further between Mbridge and Swift. Swift is a large payment system which many Western nations use. We also have here in Australia Digital ID Act coming through. So could you imagine, now it's probably not in the Digital ID Act that they will have something like this system that China has yet, but I can see it moving forward in leaps and bounds once these acts get passed. That is why I believe that we should maybe, sign another petition, pushing back against this digital ID bill to get involved legally and lawfully, peacefully and politically to try and stop their nonsense. So I've, signed this particular petition, maybe put some links in, try and share it on X to anyone who try and hear me barking at the moon. On top of that, imagine a system where free and open information can be shared, but then on X, for some reason, a government body like Australian E-Safety Commissioner decides to slap $800,000 fines on people. That would suck. That is literally like almost the definition of the chilling effect. So your free speech doesn't matter because we don't like it, so we're going to slap you with a fine. Oh, and you happen to have like 100 posts, 1,000 posts, 1,000,000 posts, we're going to slap you a fine with all of them, or you can just remove them, or even easier, you might be able to remove your account. And you all have to have, a digital ID to get onto the platform, to be able to engage with it. And this could affect your social credit score. This is all the places I can see this going. As we saw with Argentina, I loved the fact that he was sort of allowing the country to grow and thrive. But then I saw things like, oh, you might have to be forced as a business to allow Bitcoin payments to come through. Oh, and now also we're going to set up a system whereby you're going to have to register as an individual and a company, everything you do. So not just, your centralized exchange, your bank details. Now it's like, now your wallet will be tied to some government ID, which is tied to what? And so you are basically tracked and traced all the time, reminiscent of the Chinese social credit score. Again, this has been my concern for the longest time. Bitcoin is a big Trojan horse. It's been allowed to run. It's now got Bitcoin ETFs. So it's like, don't buy the Bitcoin, just get the ETF. It seems better. And then we have, like I said, government censoring, governments rolling out questionable, questionable treatment of taxes, I guess you would call it, vague definitions, and then in some jurisdictions, legal cases from individuals who, for some reason, said one thing and now are pursuing legal action against the thing they actually said. Yeah, why? Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was good, but then the one thing this came out, I'm like, was this real? And then I saw it on X through one of the Hexkins, and then Max Kaiser actually tweeted about it, confirming, going, bro, he stuffed up. First major mistake. So yeah, that makes me not want to move to Argentina as much. Now I'll close out. Well, before I close out, just imagine what could, what's something that we could all band together around. Maybe it's something like real DeFi. Maybe to be able to engage with real DeFi and have really deep liquidity pools, really deep. If you had really heavy bags that you wanted to trade freely at this point in time, before the social credit score comes in and censors everything, maybe you just want to look at how LP pools work and how in the future, if things get really expensive, maybe these LP pools be worth 10 times, 1,000 times. Like, what's the current LP position? Values. I think it might say details. Liquidity 6. That's gone. Okay. What's that type? Do a 10x. 600 million. $500 million, 10x on these ones, 430. So there'll be like a couple billion in liquidity. That might be pretty juicy for some people who want to engage in DeFi, with low fees. Now, I guess assuming you understand permanent loss, etc. But like I said, like I've heard before, some things in life a lot of things suck, and some of the only things is crypto, right? And not the crypto that's sort of being forced to be regulated, or how then I didn't even know this was happening. I did a submission, and now they're saying, "Oh, we're not going to let anyone see what people wrote, and we're not going to tell you how we came to our decision. We're just going to tell you what's coming." It's like, we vote for you. What do you mean you're not telling us this? It's done behind the curtain. All right. So in closing, this will be a long one. So I haven't got the yoga masters in the background, so you might have to just tune out and have a listen. Now, dear Australian government, the Board of Taxation, please see below my written submission to the review of tax treatment of digital assets and transactions, my life story regarding cryptocurrency from an individual perspective. Now, this was published openly to this particular submission. However, it's yet to come to light and now hidden, apparently. If you're a Hexkin, you may find this humorous. Now, or it might offend you, one of the two. Now, I am Australian, enjoying all the strong foundations this country can support to help an individual grow, should they seek it out if they're willing to put in the effort. Fast forward years and years, and after working as a labourer and suffering heavy losses in the equity market, after getting greedy, chasing quick gains, listening to the trading stock forums, and losing in the leverage trading game, I decided to get an accounting degree and learn more about the monetary system as a whole. Since graduating, I switched fields and I stumbled across cryptocurrency. From 2016 to 2017, I have watched it develop and grow at a fast pace. To this day, I'm learning more and more. Now, this was back in 2020, mind you, prior to any ETFs and further development of all the blockchains across the ecosphere, Pulse Chain being one of them. L1, that is. I would say in 2016, 2017, I discovered crypto in terms of investing fiat capital. I believe I bought Litecoin as my first purchase, not knowing anything beyond it moves faster than Bitcoin, through Coinbase. Here's my journey. Here's where my journey began. I encountered nothing but scams and more scams via the ICO phase. I naively thought incorrectly I would be financially free through BitConnect. I'm actually on the victim list of the US Department of Justice, DOJ, for context. And I didn't get anything back from that. Because Easter egg, I didn't submit enough evidence, although somehow I was listed as a victim. So some of the I think it was a lot. It was millions and millions unclaimed. Apparently, I'm like, okay, not my holdings, but like the amount that was there. I think there's some court filings you can go and peruse at your leisure. Now, for context, I'm actually heard of Bitcoin back in 2011, and I had invested then. It would have been Mt. Gox, and we all know where that eventually ended. Well, I assume I know. Looking back, it is the greed that as an individual I chose to chase and really lack the knowledge about what a cryptocurrency is that led to my downfall relating profits. So as hopefully, and this is why I wanted everyone to read this and understand this, and then they're hiding this. I don't know why. Then around 2018, I was about to give up on crypto and chase oil derivatives or forex trading. Luckily, I kept researching enough to stumble across a cryptocurrency called Hex, and the founder, Richard Hart, via a YouTube video. He did not promote any promises, rather he taught the flaws about the current cryptocurrency ecosphere, pointing out vulnerabilities in Bitcoin itself and previous inflation bugs, the lack of performance and how the code actually functions, aka spaghetti code. The importance of holding your keys to your own coins and operational security was also mentioned, as well as the risk of leverage trading, liquor, and ladies, the three most likely things to send a man broke. This particular code allows, in essence, time delaying gratification, allowing you to save yourself from yourself, something that is not often taught in the crypto space. There is also a large active community that generally promotes the same positive social values. Of course, it is always best to apply sound judgment and has actually been recognized by large news outlets. This is also not common in crypto. I refer to the Bloomberg article where they were stalking the hexagons, probably within the community themselves. Years had passed, and I learned more about blockchain technology, smart contracts, and what DeFi is built on, Ethereum, ETH, versus just buying random tokens with a promise. Now I'm able to conduct blockchain analysis and have begun to learn how to read the code from smart contracts, and then the next step would be writing actual code. Key examples and reasons why knowledge is important in this space are the disgusting Celsius scam, where it encourages you to give up your coins to someone else in the hope that they don't run off with them based on a promise of return. Understanding more about blockchains also saved me from chasing many other platforms that offered leverage trading on coins like Terra Luna, which crashed and crippled a good portion of the entire crypto space. Another example of what to avoid with the right knowledge. Now knowing this, I think back to my 2011, and had I invested in Mt. Gox at that time versus learning about the Bitcoin code and setting up my own wallet, which I own the keys for, and locking it away till today, I could have been better off. It basically would have turned it into a lot. I digress though. Mind you, this is before the FTX scam. Regarding the development of the tax treatment and reporting come tax time from an individual with a background in accounting who specializes in cryptocurrency at this point, here is my analysis. Basically, I've seen nothing but losses previous to Hex because I did not buy and hold. I now have learned how to understand wallet addresses and transactions on different blockchains, and learned how to research and understand what was happening with the use of crypto tax calculator software versus using Excel spreadsheets. Seeing everything on chain and putting it all together and maintaining everything is now very straightforward. It is basically automated and a great innovation, although very time consuming to start from scratch. Blockchains are basically giant spreadsheets, and understanding what functions are taking place on a smart contract is important. I did come across a good example linked below, as well as my own experience. So that is worth looking at. Basically some interesting on-chain data in that article. Now back to what I wrote. What I found was one limitation, which was reflected via uploaded from the software I use, the identification of some transactions pulled from the on-chain data. There was one issue similar to the above example article. Basically, you need to understand what is taking place on chain. Hex, there is a burn, mint, good accounting function, and the software needed to recognize this burn function and mint function in the software. Later, to my delight, the software did get updated and pulled the data correctly, specifically to the burn address, making it even easier. I still keep my manual records, but can always fall back on them to the on-chain data to retrieve it. Although, again, now, I did not just arrive at this level of knowledge. As you can see, it took many years of research and analysis with current day software, making it easier to collaborate data. What I think this space needs is more information relating to what transactions is on a blockchain, then it can be categorized correctly, which current software performs quite well. In regards to regulation, I strongly believe less is more with the focus on categorization. The on-chain data literally spells it out. I guess the dream would be to see Australia benefit from this technology in the long term because countries like Puerto Rico, for example, offer very, very favorable treatment to cryptocurrency holders. There's not a link to an article there. Not so much Argentina anymore, potentially. I'm not sure their approach to, not on here, but I'm not sure their approach to Ethereum and smart contracts, because I've seen Max Kaiser many times touting pro Bitcoin rhetoric over anything else, which is fine because, you know, maybe that was cool, but then he came out, the prime minister of president of Argentina, and then Max Kaiser's like, hang on, bit of a red flag there. So moving on. Imagine if Australia were to follow, or at least not stifle innovation. I could see a lot of wealth decide to move the capital to our shores. The opposite is true. One concern is the censorship aspect displayed by the US and the banning of Tonoti Cash, which is essentially code. It appears to punish a few. They made it basically illegal, I believe, to use for law-abiding citizens of the US. Imagine trying to run a business and your employer knowing how much money you have and where it's going. It's not logical. Also donating to, say, Ukraine. Maybe the Russian government will take an interest in knowing who's sending the money abroad. On-chain, it is easy to identify. This is probably why retailers would make use of a middleman such as Crypto.com as opposed to directly displaying their wallet addresses. I have no idea why I put that, but there's an article there. The addition of, well, because the centralized exchange would basically, you know, put a barrier in place, a slight barrier. I think that's what I was getting at. Anyway, the addition of Circle blacklisting ETH addresses, effectively freezing USDC, is not the most assuring thing for the cryptocurrency space either. Where does it all end? Could it be a greater trend for regulation that will stifle innovation in the space? Now, imagine government itself making use of stablecoins or pay or receive without middlemen with nowhere to mask all of its funds. It would be readily visible on-chain for literally all, ranging from individuals to foreign nations. In closing, I think overall the space, the way I see it, is easy, really, if you understand how blockchains work and what you are buying and how it actually works on chain. The importance of operational security, holding your own coins and not giving your coins away to middlemen unnecessarily must also be stressed. Last but not least must be taught that giving your coins to middlemen for potential interest or leverage trading on platforms is not investing in crypto. Rather, it is the exact opposite. Individuals need to be informed and alert citizenry in this regard. Finally, this may sound absurd. However, if you think about it logically, if you draw a picture of a pony, how much did you earn or how much is it worth? Not anything until you actually sell it. Thank you for your time. Kindest regards. Again, I refer back to, I think that was well written. I take this back to before this. There was an even earlier proposal period, and they questioned back in, I think, 2017 how it was cryptocurrency should be treated. I argued then, I said, look, you should keep track of it. It shouldn't be taxed until you actually sell it into the real world. Yeah, you can keep track of all your paper gains, which is basically what is taking place. But it's definitely enriching the on-chain data platform, crypto tax software providers, which is fine. However, if government comes in and starts making insane laws about it, which doesn't make any logical sense, it's like, yeah, the software can still track it all, but when you actually sell it into the fiat world, maybe it's easier, you know, maybe it's easier. But to be fair, it is kind of what is taking place. They're just saying, track it all, get all the cost bases, make sure, you know how much you paid for, etc. Then when you sell it, you know, you lock in your gains or make sure it's income, whatever. And then when you're reporting that, so that is what the software does. But it's a long way to go about some fucking some spreadsheets and some pictures of ponies the way I see it. But yeah. Thank you for tuning in, Finbear. You're a legend. You are a legend. Now, I think that is it. I'll leave it at that. Hopefully, if there's actually 7 of you in here, give me at least 1 thumbs up. Because I'm fucking censored into oblivion and it is really, really frustrating. I have no idea why. And in regards to hexagons, I think myself personally, who am I? I'm like the pro crypto guy trying to push back legally and lawfully, peacefully, politically versus the meme coin guy, I guess. call me crazy, but I think we have more power than we realize. Maybe the higher calling is to bring about the type 1, 2, and 3 civilization, and maybe just maybe cryptocurrency will help counter, put a stop against this digital ID that China has, and that being rolled out against us, because that is just wrecked. I do not want that anywhere near my country, although we're very close. I don't want this technology being rolled out. Now, we were very close to seeing this rolled out when the pandemic hit, and it wouldn't take much for it to be rolled out. A large war, another scare, lack of information from us all. It could be done. I hope it's not done. I don't think it will be done if enough of us spread this message. Spread your own message. Just don't submit to this no ID, no buying food. F that. That is wrecked. That is not what I want in my planet. All right. Look at this one. Not only that, the bio. Okay, let's look at this one. Before I close, just must apply for ID which contains name, gender, nationality, date of birth. So I'm not sure how they would say I recognize as a puppy. Date of birth, address, ID number, biometric, photo, facial features, palm features, fingerprints, and your DNA. That's all. Maybe one day they add a anal probe to that. Like, okay, yeah. Again, this is not to alert anyone or panic anyone, but just look at this. Look at this stuff that is taking place. Be aware that you could be potentially under some form of what you could perceive as an attack, and try to figure out how to push back and not get steamrolled by this shit, because I'm signing all the petitions I can find. I'm noticing government bodies issuing fines, in promoting censorship, and I'm noticing the Trojan horse. Pro Bitcoin, pro Bitcoin, pro Bitcoin, and now regulation, registration, and what? Censorship. Oh shit. That didn't end too well, did it? So I hope Argentina doesn't fall victim to the DNA sampling, which you have to give up to buy Bitcoin. So welcome to Argentina. Give us your DNA, and then you can buy Bitcoin, and then you can come in. All right. Free speech signing out.